This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. Lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome back to the Special Chronicles Podcast, where we give respect and voice to people with special needs. I'm your host, Daniel Smrokowski, and today we've got a truly empowering episode for you on our Unified at Work series. When I am not behind the microphone, my other job is as one of the, I don't know if I can, I'm slowly learning, I can't say original, but I'll say just Chicago-based Special Olympic Service Ambassador at United Airlines. And please put your both your hands together as we welcome my new friend Captain Tait to the Special Chronicles Podcast and our Unified at Work series. Welcome, Tait.
Hey, thank you for having me, Daniel. It's a real honor and a privilege to make my podcast debut on your podcast. I'm pretty excited about this. So yeah,
awesome. Yeah, well, and the applause from our listeners. Do you usually get that
no,
when you're in the plane?
No, we don't get a lot of applause. Sometimes we get some applause. It depends.
Well, now if any of our listeners are flying, they should apply for.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad we just to kind of give our listeners before we get into talking about this Wings for All event, just to kind of give our listeners some backstory on how we got connected. I think it was a few weeks ago. My manager had called me and had me wanted me to speak to the Autism Speaks group, and it was last minute. But when your manager calls, you pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where we got connected. And then we've got a mutual friend through the partnership with United and Special Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Share with our listeners a little bit of that backstory on how we got connected, and then your role as a pilot at United.
Well, hey, Daniel, I just want to thank you again for having me. This is a real honor and a privilege to be speaking with you today. So just a little bit about myself. You obviously know my name here, but I'm a dad of 3 kids, and I'm a captain at United Airlines, and I fly the 737 based in Chicago. And I've got to be a part of a lot of these special events at United over the years. And I met Bree, Daniel's friend, when United created the partnership with the Special Olympics probably 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
And they created the job that Daniel does now. And it was really neat to meet him a couple of weeks ago and be like, oh, wow, this is really, really cool to see this taking place. And what a great job he does at United. And we were given a tour to Autism Speaks. We just showed them the airport, what United does behind the scenes. I guess we called it a little behind the scenes tour. And Daniel came down and gave an excellent presentation in front of these people last minute. Yeah. So, yeah. But, so that's what I do. I fly. I'm just a regular line pilot. I fly out of O'Hare.
Awesome. And so through our Bridge Disability Business Resource Group and some other people within the company got together with the Elk of Illinois because the Elk hosts these Wings for All program or this event at different airports. So can you share a little bit about how you got connected?
The first one, I've done a couple of these before, and they haven't been quite as a big deal as this last one. This last one was like the really, really neat what we did. But the other ones, they just had everybody at the gate. We did basically the same thing. And I was just asked to do that by our chief pilot's office. But this one, I had a personal connection actually to what I was really excited about was a friend of mine, his brother has autism and hasn't flown in an airplane, I think in 20 or 30 years. He gets upset when he gets to the airport. And so probably about 8-9 months ago, I'd been banging around on doors and figuring out why we hadn't done one of these in a while. And we hadn't done one. All this stuff kind of went away during COVID, so it's all coming back now. So it's just so exciting to see. So that's how I got involved, to help my friend Todd and his brother Chad to get on this flight and take the first steps of going to the airport and doing all this. So it was kind of neat for me because I've done quite a few, fantasy flights and the Special Olympics stuff, but this one I had a real personal connection. I had a friend of mine, two of my friends, on the back of the airplane, or going to the airport to try it out. So that was a neat. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that personal connection story, I think it's going to come full circle when we share an example of there's a picture I was trying to. I was going to put up on the screen for our listeners, and maybe I'll still try to do that by the end of the program today. But it's going to come. It's going to come. Yeah. You know the story, and so we'll leave our listeners give them just a little teaser to keep listening. But the kind of now the reason we're having you on, and we just 2 days ago, Tait and I and a bunch of other United employees took part in this Wings for All event, and I found out about it by being on our Bridge business resource group, and so for those because this was my first time hearing and being involved with this event. So for those unfamiliar, can you share with them what is Wings for All and what makes it so important?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Wings for All is it's what we call the flight that ARC has developed, and ARC is the disability advocacy group. It's nationwide, but we work with the in Chicago with the Chicago or Illinois branch, I think they are. And basically what we do is provide an experience for families to show up at the airport and do a practice run. As far as there's a lot of families I'll tell a little story later too about a family that hadn't been able to travel to India in 15 years because of their special needs son. And so people are interested in coming to the airport and figuring out how this is going to work for my kids, for my family. And so United and the ARC provides the complete experience. I'll just kind of walk through how like a family showed up. They would show up, and we had everything set up down at group check-in. And so they checked in, they gave their names, they were issued their boarding passes, and it was kind of a neat opportunity down there for the volunteers and the flight crew that was on the flight to meet people and talk to people down there. And so after they checked in and got their boarding passes, a United employee like Daniel and a ARC volunteer, the two of them took them up to TSA security. And the Wings for All encompasses not only United Airlines, but airport employees, that work at the airport. And a big factor here that everybody goes through to go to the airport is the TSA. So the TSA has their program also. And so we were all together on this, working together. So people checked in, Daniel would bring them up to TSA. You can probably talk more about that, Daniel, because I wasn't able to be part of the TSA part. I'm kind of curious about that, actually.
Yeah. Let me. I'll share. Yeah. So we after they checked in, we brought them up in groups, and so I'll kind of share one interesting story. There was two within a group of 6-7 families. There was two of them that had two two kids who didn't want to go up the escalator, and and was afraid of that. And so as you know, so like the escalator in baggage claim, where we will usually having people go up, is closer to the security entrance, the TSA that we were going to. But because two of them, I brought them over to the closest elevator, and
good.
But because the group was so, we had to bring them into two groups. I gave my paddle away to somebody else, so I had to use my United phone to kind of so they know
guide people. Sure, yeah.
But so I brought them up the elevator, and then I went back down the elevator, brought the other group, and I just had each of them just wait at the top of the elevator, and then I brought them to the security entrance, and then one of the TSA managers that's involved with the TSA chaos, which we'll see if we can put some information in the show notes if people want to get connected with TSA chaos. But then I passed them. Well, I didn't pass them off, but like I directed them up to
where they needed to go.
I guided them to where they needed to go, and then the TSA kills had showed them how to go through. But the navigating from where they checked in to, which in this case it's the group check-in area,
sure.
And then I had to quickly think of, well, okay, there's these two people that are afraid to get on the escalator. So I had to quickly think, okay, well, at least we've got an elevator close by. So
great thinking. That that's something maybe they didn't even think about. That was great thinking on the slide.
And so and because this, as you just described, because this is a mock experience, the next time that they fly with us, they're going to see, oh, okay, well, if my child or my adult with a disability is afraid to go up or down the escalator, let's find the closest elevator.
Elevator, sure.
And so that's that was my experience of directing these families, but that gave them an idea of if something is not working for their son or daughter, let's find a different way to
make it work.
And to modify that. And so even hopefully they will remember that experience, and then in other areas in the airport or even on the plane, if something is not, just kind of find another way. Because like even my years of growing up in special education and all the experience, that's something that has helped me growing up is to, if something is not working, if I can't process one way, just to modify and change it a little bit. And that's for our intellectual and developmental disability community, that's really important.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It could be a big deal. It is a big deal to some of them. So yeah, that's great. I'm glad you thought of that. That's really good thinking. So then so people and families would go through security, and then we had it set up so there wasn't a big rush to get on the airplane. So people could walk around the airport. I think check-in started about maybe 8:45, 9 o'clock. And we didn't have the airplane on the gate till 10, and we started boarding, I believe, around 10:40. So it gave an opportunity for families just to walk through the airport, experience the noises, the rush of people. It can get pretty busy at the airport during certain times. So they had a good, about a good hour and a half to walk through the airport and experience that. So then, so the next step for people would be to gather in the boarding area, because we treated this just like a flight. It had a flight number. It was on the app. We were flight number 3186. There we go. There's his boarding pass right there. So we treated this exactly like a flight. People could have their ticket in a paper form, or they could have it on their telephone if they wanted to check in with their telephone at the gate. So there was probably, I talked to some families out there that were out there probably half hour, 45 minutes, which would be like a normal paced way to go to the airport, wait for your flight, wait for boarding. So we started boarding, I believe, about 10:40. And we did it just like a normal flight. We had a few wheelchair passengers, so they always get a priority boarding, and they're able to board the airplane first. And we started boarding just by group numbers, just like they do on a regular flight. There wasn't anything different.
Well, just to kind of pipe in here, there was one. So with something that a few of us that was brought to our attention, myself and the other customer service team, the families, they all had different boarding groups, and so we told them that within, like, the families can stay together, but within one family, whichever. So, like, for example, on this boarding pass, it was group 5. So if other family members had groups 1, 2, 3, or 4, you board
together.
Yeah, in whoever had the highest number, and that was what group that they boarded in.
I think there might have been a little issue with the tickets because a couple of people one was in the back, one was in the front, but something that wouldn't normally happen, but we worked it out at the gate. But yeah, so people were able to board together. So people boarded the flight, and that was a fun time for us. Up in the flight deck, we were able to get a few visitors up there and kids stopping by. So that was a lot of fun up there as that's taking place, which is like a normal process. I always encourage people to, if you have an extra minute and your son, daughter, even anybody's interested in seeing in the flight deck of a flight, doesn't hurt to ask. And if the pilots have time, we always make time and give a little quick tour up there. So let's see, we got everybody boarded up. And the flight attendants made the announcements, and the gate agents made the announcements, just like a normal process. So we closed the door up, and I came back and I made it a PA, welcomed everybody on board from first class, let them know exactly what we were going to do. And I just basically explained where we were going to taxi, where we were going to park on the airport. And then Samantha, the ARC leader, she gave a quick PA too.
Yeah, which I've got that clip. If we want to share with our audience, I was able to pull that. I was able to pull that up. You know what? Keep talking.
I'll keep talking. You want me to keep talking? Okay, you just interrupt me. So we got everything ready to go. Our rampers were there. We closed up the doors. So I'll tell a little more when Daniel asked me about behind the scenes kind of stuff from the flight deck. So I'll just kind of explain what happened. If I was sitting in the back of the airplane. So then we pushed off the gate and the motors started up. Everything was normal as far as if I was riding in the back, it would have felt like we were going flying. And then we taxied out, and we'll show that a little later on if Daniel wants to. I got a little picture where we taxied to.
Yeah. Let me bring that up.
There you go. Oh yeah. Yep. So if those of you that are watching on this, you can see where we taxied, and we started up there where it says Northport. And we did the standard Chicago taxi. We took off out of the Northport, took a right turn, and followed all around the outside of the Terminal 3 there, between 3 and 5, and down to what we refer to as the Bravo taxiway, and then all the way across over to the Central de-icing facility, and that's where we parked the airplane. I made a PA, basically was, hey, welcome to the de-ice pad. I was trying to imagine, like, hey, if we were flying, what would I say?
Yeah.
I told them, hey, we're going to keep the seatbelt sign on for about 20, 30 minutes here while the flight attendants do a service. And so the flight attendants did a service back there as if we were at cruise altitude, basically. And they went through the cabin, did their service, and it sounded like you guys were having a lot of fun back there. We weren't able to be part of that because when we're on the ground, we have to keep the cockpit door closed at all times unless we have flight attendants come up and blockers and all this stuff.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. So, and I was gonna since you're getting to this part of the story, there's a question that a couple, and if you can't answer this question, that's okay. But there's a couple of us that were sitting in first class. We had and I know usually when we're up in the sky, as a pilot, you can't have your phone on. But during this Wings for All event, when we were all enjoying the snack service, did you and Force Officer Brett? We were just curious on what you guys were doing that.
We treated this like a real flight up front, as far as our safety briefings and our checklists and everything. As pilots, in order to be the safe as we possibly can, we got to keep everything the same, right? And it was a threat. Like if we were like, oh, we're gonna do this and that and not, we could, because we can still get in trouble taxiing around the ground in Chicago. It's one of the busiest airports in the world. So we just treated this like a regular flight. And we did everything. We had our phones off. There wasn't anything different than if we were going to go flying, honestly, up there. So when we were sitting up there, we could kind of hear what was going on back there a little bit. And we actually have a video camera that we can watch what's going on in the forward galley area. Ooh. So we would see people come back and forth a little bit, but no, we didn't have our phones on. We were just sitting there listening to ATC, just exactly like if we were working.
Yeah. Well, no. Awesome. Yeah. That's great insight. And something else that I've noticed. So a few of the passengers, they actually took the time to use the restrooms.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And because we treated this just like a regular flight, they still got to experience how small the lavatories are on the plane. And so even that, or even if I think before we took off, and I'm using air quotes, before we took off,
we went on our journey.
Yeah, before we went on our journey, I think there might have been a passenger that was feeling sick near the back of the plane, and so everything even from that, all of this these are all examples of moments that could happen.
Oh, sure.
When you have to fly.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so after about 20, 30 minutes, the flight attendants were kind of wrapping their service up. So we turned the seatbelt sign off, and I made another PA and just let people know, hey, the seatbelt sign's off. Please, feel free to move about the cabin, try out the bathrooms. Because another thing that people don't realize is how noisy those toilet flushers are. My daughter's actually reminded me of that. Like when you hit that flush in the bathroom, it uses differential pressure, and it can be pretty alarming if you're not ready for it. So I think that was a great opportunity for people to go experience that if they had an issue with loud, sudden noises or something.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys had way more fun back there than we had up front. We were just sitting there looking out the window and wondering what was going on back there.
So yeah, well, it's and even though even those of us from United, we don't get to experience first class that much. So even we got to at least have some enjoyment too.
Yeah, I was so excited to make sure that Daniel got a first class seat. Daniel, I was like, all right, we got to get this guy in first class.
Yeah. Well, and if I'll for a moment, I will stop sharing the screen. But for those of you who see like on this boarding pass, it says I think 22C on there, and so even like a last minute upgrade.
Yeah, you got the last. I wasn't leaving till you were in first class. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything else with our flight path?
Yeah, so we sat there in the de-ice pad, and then once the flight attendants let us know, hey, we were probably out there almost about it. We'd left the gate about 35. It was getting to be close to about an hour total time, maybe a little bit more while we were out there. And so the flight attendants let us know they were wrapping it up. So then we made another PA, just like we would during the flight. We turned the seatbelt sign back on and asked people to, get back in their seats. And the flight attendants made all their PAs about, putting your tray tables up, putting your stuff away. So people had to pack up all their stuff. Just like a regular flight. This was just like a regular flight without going flying. We'll have to talk to maybe Mr. Kirby will let us go for a ride next time. We got to bug him.
Yeah. Maybe next time, even like just like
go around downtown Chicago and come back around and land.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be out of the city.
Yeah. But anyway, so then we made all those PAs, and then we had to get another clearance to get back to the gate. We left the gate we left out of was B14, and we came back to a different gate, which was Bravo 4 B4. So you can kind of see on our taxi route, it was a little bit more of a direct route back to the gate.
Yeah,
and we taxied back to the gate, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the taxi on one of your further questions that I know you have coming from.
Yeah.
So then we got back to the gate, and we were met by our great gate agent Monica at the jetway, and we deplaned the airplane just like a normal flight. We got there, parked, did all our checklists. The noises of the motor shutting down, the seatbelt sign coming off. Flight attendants making PAs, welcoming everybody to Chicago, where you could find your luggage at carousels. I'm sure Monica made a PA. The gate agents always, welcome everybody to Chicago. And that was another great opportunity and a blessing for Brett and I. We were able to get the flight deck door open and have anybody who wanted to come up there come up and get a picture. And it was such a blessing to meet all these people, and I can't even tell you, Daniel, what it was really neat.
Yeah, well, and it was, and in just a few moments, I'll try to put up a picture that I took of you and one young passenger that we'll share a story of in a moment. But before we get to that, can you just share with us, as kind of speaking to the mission of this Wings for All, what was some of your favorite highlights from the day, and how many families were involved, and what were some of the behind the scenes moments that our listeners didn't really get to see?
Sure. I'll share a little behind the scenes thing. As from a pilot and flight crew perspective, 99% of this was all planned out by Neffy's crew and the ground crew, which they were amazing, because not everything always goes as planned in the aviation industry. And they had planned everything out so detailed and so well. It was so amazing. Everyone that had anything to do with this flight knew about it, knew what to do, from getting the airplane there. It's a pretty big deal to have one of our airplanes sitting on the ground all day and not doing anything. So they, somebody went and researched that out, figured all that out, figured out what gate we could use. Because as everybody knows, in Chicago to begin with, we're a little short of gates to begin with. So we occupied, one gate for 2-3 hours and another gate for another couple hours. So I just thank United Airlines for setting all that up. And Neffy was big behind setting all that up. But from our perspective, from Brett and my perspective of coordinating what to do with ATC, it was a couple of phone calls to an ATC manager. Chicago O'Hare is one of the busiest airports in the world, so it's not like we can just call somebody up and be like, hey, we want to go do this, this, and this. It's all very planned out and choreographed out there. So I made a few phone calls probably about a week in advance to coordinate with the tower to let them know our flight number, what we were thinking of, where we wanted to go for the taxi and all that kind of stuff. And about an hour prior, I called the tower on the telephone and spoke with them and just verified 100% that all this was set up and they'd be waiting for us. So they were all ready for us, and just a little coordination like that was kind of neat just to have that all set up. But but just to taxi at O'Hare is kind of a big deal. Just to move an airplane on the airport, it takes some coordination and some time. And it was just due to a lot of planning on a lot of United Airlines employees. It worked out perfect. I mean, everything was seamless, from everything, the catering. The flight attendants, they do a lot of their pre-flight checks too. That takes a good 20-30 minutes for them to prepare the airplane. So when the airplane came to the gate, they spent at least 20-25 minutes doing all their safety checks, because we had to treat this just like a regular flight. Because if we did have a mechanical or some kind of issue out there, we had to make sure that all our emergency equipment was on board and everything was working properly. So that was part of a little behind the scenes, getting all that taken care of before people even came on the airplane. As far as Brett and I, we treated it, like I said before, just like a regular flight. We did our pre-flight, we did our checklist. We even did a walk around the airplane just to make sure that, hey, there wasn't something the matter with the airplane that would come up while we were taxiing. But the biggest coordination we probably had to work with was ATC. But they were really excited to work with us, and they knew about the Wings for All flight and what we were trying to accomplish out there. So they were excited to help us. So big shout out to Chicago Ground. So.
Awesome. And as to kind of speak to the mission of Wings for All, which, as we talked about at the top of the program today, of how it supports travelers with intellectual and developmental.
One of the little personal stories that I had that really hit home to me about, hey, this is really working, and it's just so neat. A family came up, and they were from India. And the father, they came up in the flight deck to get pictures. And the father told me that his family has not been able to travel to India for 15 years to go home and see their grandparents, see their extended family. Just because their son with special needs, they weren't quite sure how he was going to handle traveling over the years as he got bigger, and all this, different things that they have to go through just to get through the airport and do all this stuff. And it's going to choke me up here a little bit, but he told me, he's like, I think we can go to India. And hearing that just made this like so worthwhile to me. I was like, wow, like it just really hit home for me to see like this is going to make such a difference in that family's life, and not only that family's life, but their extended family's life, to go see their grandparents, go see the aunts and uncles. And to think that, United and ARC had something to do, to set this up, to facilitate this was so neat to see the end result.
Yeah. So. Awesome. Yeah. Well, yeah. To speak to that, like to go with the work that the ARC does with advocating for all of us with intellectual and developmental disabilities, to the mission of United Airlines, connecting people and uniting the world. When you get a powerful advocacy organization to advocate not just in your local town, but even travel accessibility to an airline whose mission is to connect people, and not just some people, but when you consider all people of all abilities.
Yeah, the entire world. Yeah,
the entire world. That's what that story that you showed is a powerful example.
Yeah, it was neat to just see the families coming up in the flight deck, and the kids were all excited, and it was just the really neat part about this too was there wasn't any pressure. We weren't in a big hurry, and a lot of times, we're a fast moving industry, so we don't always have a lot of time, but it was really neat that we had time to spend with each family and just to let them all experience that.
Yeah, and before we get into this empowering passenger story that we've been teasing our listeners with, can you share as a pilot what you, because we've a few days before this Wings for All event, we got together with Samantha and Becca from the Elk and had a training to get all United team ready. What have you learned about what intellectual and developmental disabilities are, what autism spectrum disorder is, how to support travelers who may face communication or behavior challenges, and how this has changed your perspective as a captain?
Yeah, well, as a captain, any captain at United Airlines, we're all responsible for our passengers, and we don't always know who's back there. We hop on, we go. This has challenged me to take a little more time and talk to the gate agents. And I've had gate agents make me aware of people that, maybe they need a little extra assistance or this or that. So then I can make the flight attendants aware of that. But I think United does do a really good job of helping people, making as a frontline employee, making us aware of like, hey, somebody might need a little extra time. The ARC really reading through their stuff and listening to Samantha's presentation, it really it empowers me a little bit too to be like, hey, I'm going to come right down to that person's level. They might be having an issue or something, but it's okay. Everyone wants a successful outcome of what we're trying to go somewhere here at United, or bring somebody home, or bring somebody. And so just being, hey, not every time is somebody going to have a good time flying on us that maybe has a disability, as far as what they're going through. But it's okay. They're trying, and I just want to be supportive as a flight crew member, that I can help that parent, help that brother or sister who's trying to help their child, their brother or sister.
Awesome. I love that. And I'm going to pull up a picture. So for those of you listening to the audio podcast, go check out the video on our YouTube, or if you look up Special Chronicles on Instagram or Facebook, we will share a picture. And I think if this picture is that's the one that we already showed. Yeah. So let's go back here and click on. I have so many tabs open, as I'm sure you know. But I'm going to share a picture up on the screen that you see here that I was able to, after we deplaned, I was able to capture this picture. Tait, can you describe for our listeners and kind of share the heartwarming story of a young participant who originally didn't want to board the aircraft, but thanks to your help and encouragement, eventually made it on board. What was this moment like for you? How did the family react? walk us through from the beginning part of the story to the moment of this picture.
Well, I just want everybody to notice that we are on the airplane there, so that has a great ending here. This young man here did not want to get on the airplane when we were boarding. I was made, Monica, our gate agent, came down and said that we had a passenger up in the boarding area. We weren't even on the jetway. And so if I could just come up and talk to him and just say hi. And so I walked up there and I met his mom on the jetway because she'd gone down the jetway to see if he would follow her on the airplane. And so he was standing up in the boarding area with his dad. And just the nicest kid. I walked up to him and said hi and, bent down and said, hey. And he was really excited about going on the airplane and, just talked about what we were doing. And so his dad was like, you ready to go? And he's like, okay, I'm ready. Oh, nope, I don't want to go. So he changed his mind. And so, I sat there and talked to him for a bit. And I was like, hey, it's all right. But I let him know his mom was going to come with us on the ride. But I also told him, like, hey, what I need you to do is come and meet me at the gate when we get to the other gate so you can walk around and just experience the airport. Because I think it was a pretty big deal for him to be at the airport at all. Because he wants to go on vacation with his sisters. And so he, obviously they want to fly somewhere. Excuse me. So I spoke with the parents. I spoke with him a bunch more, just had a great chat with him, but he just did not want to come on the airplane, which I admire. Hey, you know what? He made up his mind and he didn't want to go. So that's just fine. And so we left and did our thing. And when we came back, I was able to get out of the flight deck and walked up there, and he was sitting on a bench with his dad. And so I just went over and sat down next to him, and I was like, told them about, hey, we had a really fun time, and would you like to come down and see the airplane? Just walk around. We're not going to go anywhere. Just walk around and see it. And it was immediately like, yes, let's go. And so he grabbed my hand, and away we went down the jetway, and we were able to give him a private tour of the entire airplane, and he jumped right on there. And I think it really made a difference. And I think if he's able to come and do this experience again, he's going to do the full thing.
Yeah. Hopefully, hopefully, if we're able to do this again next year,
see him come back because
me too.
I think he definitely made great strides in just walk. He had no problem once he'd made up his mind. I saw it was like, okay, we're going.
Yeah. Well, and
there was no holding him back.
Yeah. This picture, for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, go check out the video for this episode, specialchronicles.com, and click on YouTube. But this is another powerful example of what Wings for All is all out.
I was able to speak with his parents, and they were his mother was in tears. She was like, it was such a neat experience for him. And they're so excited about the opportunity to possibly travel now with their son.
Awesome. And it goes to show that it's this Wings for All shouldn't just be a one-time event, but by offering it, by hopefully being able to offer it multiple times. For example, if there's a passenger like the picture that we just showed who is afraid, hopefully by then, like it might, and that's what I think a lot of kind of going back to those of us with intellectual and developmental disabilities, you might not be ready the first time, but by multiple opportunities. I don't know if you want to kind of speak to
I will speak. My personal story I told in the beginning of the interview with Chad and Todd. Chad got to he made it all the way through security, walked around the airport, but when he got to the jetway, the airplane, to board the airplane, he decided that he just didn't want to. So I'm really going to encourage Chad and Todd to try this again, because if they've made it that far, the next step might be, hey, just walking down the jetway, and that might be as far as we go. And it's all right. It's just going to take time for some people to make that big step to get on the airplane and then to go for a ride. So I think that's what's neat about the program is there was no pressure. Let people go at their pace.
Awesome. Moving on, if we kind of think back now to some of our favorite moments from the event, and you shared a couple of stories already, but what and maybe it's one of the stories that you already shared, but what were some of your personal favorite memories from this Wings for All event, and was there any particular interactions that stood out?
Yeah, I think I've shared the main highlights. Definitely the last one. I was choking up just talking about it. Such a neat experience. It was a real blessing. Like I've said, these people blessed me so much just being part of this. My overall impression of stuff was just looking at the overall group and how neat it was that everyone was so energetic and helping people out, and families being together and experiencing this together at the airport, something that a lot of us take for granted, just go to the airport, but it's a really big deal for some families just to get to the airport, to get through security, to get on the airplane, and to go through that whole process. And just to see the overall group and how, the United employees were volunteering, the ARC employees were volunteering there, and just everyone was just so excited for every step that somebody took. It might have been, hey, we only got through check-in, but you know what? That everyone was like, hey, that's all right. That's great. You made it to the airport, right? You've got here. Yeah. Everybody was at a little bit different how far they made it. So it was like, but it was encouraging as the overall group to see everybody so excited for if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And kind of speaking to that, over the past couple of days in the Teams chat that us United employees had, from everybody from you to me to our flight attendants to our customer service team, a few of us, I know that we're going to have a call at the end of this week, but a few of us just kind of shared brief reflections in that Teams chat, and I've heard from yourself, myself, Monica, our flight attendants. We all of us that volunteered for this first Wings for All event want to be able to come back and volunteer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Again.
Oh yeah, I would really like to be part of this. I hope they ask me back. That's all. It was really a neat experience. And one thing I like about these, just from a United Airlines point of view, is I get to meet a lot of people from different departments, because there's volunteers from every department. It's just not the ground crew or the flight crew. There was people from IT there was customer service and all these different people, and it's like you make new friends that I see in the terminal now that I might not normally even know that they work for United.
Yeah. Well, and speaking to that event, to that point, hopefully we'll have a lot of other United employees that will listen to this podcast. And I know we've got the I think it's the Air Travel Accessibility Board at United, and to that point, hopefully, the more different departments within the airline that can volunteer and see what this Wings for All event is, then the more accessible and inclusive we can make United to truly be the most inclusive and accessible airline.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So as we come to a close, just a few wrap up questions here. What when you share with us what is it like being part of this is your debut podcast, but what's it like being part of the Special Chronicles Podcast Unified at Work series, which usually focuses on inclusive employment, but I'm stretching. We didn't talk about inclusive employment. Well, I'm stretching this series out a little bit to
a little broader, yeah,
a little broader to inclusive travel. But I think people will understand and get the point. But first, kind of just briefly, we reflect for us what it's like to be on the Special Chronicles podcast, and why do you think it's important to have conversations like the one that we had today for the past 50 minutes, like this in public spaces?
Oh yeah, Daniel, I'll just thank you again for having me on here. Now, I was teasing Daniel for the last couple of weeks that I don't play for the Chicago Bears because he's had some pretty big names on this podcast. So these are pretty big shoes to fill, and it was a real honor to be asked on here, Daniel. And you made this experience really neat, and it was a easy experience. And given the way you ask your questions, you do a really nice job. But I think these conversations are really important because it just makes people aware of what's going on around you. In your you might not even, you walk by thousands of people. I've just used the example in the airport, and I don't know what somebody's needs are or something, but if something comes up, I'm going to be like much more empowered and equipped to be like, oh, hey, let me talk to that family. I know somebody to call, so maybe we can help this family out. They're having a little trouble getting on the airplane. Let's just not give up right away. Let's figure something out. So I think definitely these conversations and just being part of this makes me aware of what helps me to be a better advocate for somebody who's having a little trouble. That's what I always want to do, is help people and always be there to support people who are having a little trouble.
Awesome. Yeah, I love getting connected with our pilots, and I'm sure our listeners will know that even if because like I'm sure sometimes, depending on the day, our pilots might not have time to talk to every passenger, but to at least know that a lot of our pilots at least have that understanding of what passengers are going through.
Oh, sure, yeah. And I enjoy customer interaction. It's part of what I enjoy about being a pilot for United Airlines. We mean it when we say the friendly skies, and we try to do our best every day. But the interaction, I would tell passengers, don't be afraid to walk up and ask a pilot a question if you have a question.
Awesome. Well, before we get to the final thoughts, we've got a call to action question that will help to get our listeners thinking about inclusion beyond the airport, like in the friendly skies, for example. And so we've got a bumper. So let's go ahead and roll that bumper.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising. Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference.
Our demands are
Equality.
Dignity.
And the recognition of our
Shared humanity. We will not stop
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
more divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
And before we get to that call to action question, I just have to point out to our listeners the water bottle that I am drinking from, as since Tait and I are both Chicago-based, our team OLD is a stall flight champions in 2023 and 2024. So
I think that's 18 months straight or quarters straight or something. It's like we hold the all-time record. No one's beaten that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I just thought so in case, because I know we had a couple people from Dunville and Houston on, that want to compete against us. So awesome. And so we don't just want our listeners to be entertained, which of course that's one part of this podcast, but more than that, we want them to learn and to take action and to bring inclusion into their communities, workplaces, schools, and even air travel to be more inclusive. And so this final question will help our listeners to really take some simple actions to bring in, so that you can direct this question any way that you want. But I think because we're talking about this Wings for All and air travel, maybe kind of in a, I'll redirect this to more of an air travel question. But what does inclusion and air travel, what does inclusion or inclusive air travel mean to you?
Well, I think the big thing is that a family would know, hey, if I have an issue or a special needs child, brother, sister, whatever it may be, I want them to feel confident to know that United Airlines and the TSA and the airline workers can support them when they come to the airport, that they're not alone. Everyone wants the successful outcome. And so that would be, and seeing this Wings for All, that was the goal of the whole thing. And so someone who maybe is listening to this, who wasn't able to participate this time, I highly encourage you to sign up for our next event, whenever that might be. I'm not, Neffy, I think, has those dates or whatever. So I'll awesome. Just be blessed if I get asked to be part of it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but I think what I would encourage people is like, hey, you can do this. And there's a lot of people out here that just want to put your arms around you and help you along the way through every step of the way, parking the car, to getting your boarding pass, to going through security, to getting on the airplane, to actually during the flight, to getting to where you're going. Every step of the way that somebody will be here to support you at United, and do our best to make you feel welcome, because you shouldn't be scared to come to the airport and travel. We want everyone to come and enjoy the friendly skies.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. That's a perfect way to wrap up the past hour, this past conversation, this episode. And for those of you listening, we will, as soon as we know what the date of the next, I'll definitely, if you follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, our newsletter, we'll try to see if we can, at least at Special Chronicles, help to share with you when the next date is. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners, and of both how they can get more, how they can learn more about this Wings for All, get involved, and then any final thoughts on your overall time here today on Special Chronicles?
I would say the best place to start is with the ARC organization in Illinois. And even if you're listening and not in Illinois, there's chapters all over the country. They're easy to find on the internet.
Yes.
But I just think, like I said before, I'm thankful to be part of this. And it was a real honor for Daniel to invite me on his podcast. So thanks for having me, Daniel, again. So it was really neat. It's cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tait, for coming on the Special Chronicles podcast. Just a few plugs out there to let you all know that this episode is brought to you by United Airlines Bridge Business Resource Group, connecting people of all abilities. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/united. specialchronicles.com/united. And this episode is brought to you by our friends at ComEd Energy First, the nation's first energy and solar efficiency education program. These taught by people with disabilities. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ConMed. That's specialchronicles.com/ConMed. So I just have to get a few of those sponsor plugs out of the at the end. But thank you again. And for those of you in the show notes, we'll try to put information to the elk and the swing swallow if you want to, or just if for whatever reason I forget to do that, just go to Google and you can, as Tait said, you can find either Illinois or your local chapter to learn more. But Tait, this past hour has flown by almost like the flight that
it's pretty fast. Yeah.
I don't know. So the next time that we have the swing swallow, we can just put this podcast on the Seat Back Entertainment, and
hey, there we go.
They can all listen. There might be a little bit of a process to get that on there because I know, as a fun fact, I had our chief customer officer and chief diversity, equity, inclusion within my first year at United. They put they edited a 17-minute episode from this podcast, and they put it on the Seatback Entertainment.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, you do so much, Daniel. I'm so impressed by what you're the busiest guy I know at United Airlines. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
I was just tell, for those of you that don't know, if you ever walk through the terminal with Daniel, you can't go more than 5 feet without him knowing somebody. So it takes a long time to walk anywhere with this guy.
It's almost like the last CEO of United.
Oscar. Yeah, you and Oscar could have a show here.
And actually, Oscar has been on this podcast two times already. So yeah,
awesome! Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome.
Awesome. So thank you again, Tait, for coming on the Special Chronicles podcast, and looking forward to seeing you around OLD and maybe even the Friendlies and the Friendly Skies.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you.
And until then, folks, we'll see you next week. Go back and listen. We'll have Samantha from the Elk of Illinois on this program, as well as Neffy will be coming on as well. So stay tuned to this. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, comment, like, do all those things. SpecialChronicles.com for links. Thank you again, Tait, for coming on the Special Chronicles podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles Podcast. Our podcast was produced by Daniel Smrokowski on the Special Chronicles Network. Follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 500 episodes for absolutely for free. Also, there's a list of our favorites, original series, award-winning columns, and blog. And sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard. Thanks, as always, to our business manager, Daniel Smrokowski, who always encourages us to never give up. I'm Daniel Smrokowski, back next week with more stories.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
Okay, I'm going